He is an undefeated champion in the investment world.
Why have we achieved so many firsts in China? First listed soy sauce company, first listed nut and roasted seeds company, first listed snack company, first listed home furnishing retailer in China, first listed metal packaging company, first listed steamed bun company, first listed Chinese fast food chain, first listed underwear company.
He has a unique knack for unlocking the secrets to wealth.
Most of you want to believe only after you see it. But for me, it's because I believe. That's why I can see it.
However, behind all the honors lies the effort and patience that are hard for us to see.
For a typical project, after we finish, our entire set of working documents is about 5 gigabytes, extremely detailed, covering every little thing. We study the company's past, solve its problems, and design its future. They've worked hard for 20 or 30 years, and when they hand this opportunity over to me, I have to fulfill their historic mission. If you can't even stick it out for 30 days, how are you going to handle the next 3 years or 30 years? I never waste time, so you could say this goes against human nature.
In this episode of I Ask People, we talk with Xiangqian and take you inside his consumer investment philosophy. This is Shanghai, the financial and economic heart of China. Countless investors gather here, watching and trying to take part in the future of China's economy, all striving to discover the next super brand. Looking around the world, aside from some tech innovation brands and channel brands, there have been almost no influential consumer goods giants emerging in the past 40 years. In 2019, I Asked People visited Mr. Song Xiangqian, the head of Jehua Capital, to discuss consumer trends in the era of Guiqiao, the rise of Chinese brands. 2 years have passed, and with the explosive popularity of brands like Barbie Mantu, Dongping Special Drink, and Wenhe Lok CNG, Jehua Capital has quietly become a part of every aspect of consumers' lives. Today, I Ask People visits Jehua Capital once again to explore the super evolution of the new consumer era.
Welcome. Welcome back to Jehua Capital.
Yes, but what's different this time is that we're at Jehua Capital's Shanghai office.
Yeah.
Shanghai, the magic city, is home to so many consumer brands. It must feel great to be here.
Yes. This is another shoot, 2 years later. There have been many changes.
What?
Sure, go ahead. See yourself.
Things Jehua changed and hasn't.
The Bund in Shanghai, a landmark of China's financial development. Here, Song Xiangqian and his Jehua Capital are creating one investment miracle after another.
These are some of the companies Jehua has invested in before, right?
Take a look. If you count the companies Jehua has invested in, the famous ones on the wall include Easy Home, Amer, Leifen, Kiakia Food, Dongping Special Drink, Jejia Group, Yongxin Company, Wenhu, Lok CNG, Meitu, and Taikong.
Right, Meituan. Arkin, yes.
Xiaoguan Tea, Carefree.
Right, they're all about everyday people's lifestyles.
Looking over the list of companies Jehua Capital has invested in, they're all closely related to people's daily lives and consumer habits. And this is inseparable from Song Xiangqian's unique market insights, as well as his personal values and investment philosophy.
The last time I spoke with you was back in 2019, and we were talking about people. Actually, a lot has changed over the past 2 years. On one hand, there have been major shifts in the policy environment. We've seen huge policy changes in areas like education and consumer sectors. As an investor, what has impacted you the most?
I once wrote an article, I think it was around June, saying that China has entered an era of system reboot, a system reboot. A system reboot. It's not just a change. It's actually a transformation. So personally, I believe this is a sea change, a huge shift. It's a kind of correction to the logic of the 40 years of reform and opening up. The underlying logic of Chinese society is rapidly moving toward being reestablished. It's an era of a fair and just society, because after 40 years of rapid economic growth, reaching today's 100 trillion yuan GDP, the underlying operating logic of society needs to be adjusted. Only by doing this can society develop in a stable, healthy, and orderly way.
Only then can we achieve long-term and relatively stable social order in the future. which is also beneficial for sustained economic growth. So, what exactly did East Rock Superdrink do right? To go from making just a penny in profit per case to reaching a market value of 100 billion yuan today? I think it's about seizing the huge market opportunities in China, right? It's because they believed in the 1.4 billion people, believed in the younger generation. So, can I sum up the consumer eras faced by the post-70s, 80s, and 90s generations like this? For those born in the 70s, it was the era of producer sovereignty.
For the 80s generation, it was the era of seller sovereignty. And for the 90s generation, it's the era of consumer sovereignty. But you can't really divide it like that. Both the 70s and 80s generations were eras when producers dominated. The era when manufacturer culture was prevalent. From the supply side, manufacturers were much more powerful. Why is that? Because it was a seller's market at the time, and consumers were just starting to develop brand awareness. After all, consumers also go through an educational process. There's a process of understanding the market, as China's reform and opening up has only been around for 40 years. Only in the past 20 years have we started to have branded goods and solve supply shortages and the scarcity economy. I think Chinese people's understanding of brands isn't something that goes back far, right? When did you, for example, start coughing and realize what year it was when you first had a full set of home appliances? Or when you started using all these branded products and electronics? China has only just moved from an era of scarcity into an era of abundance, and honestly, it feels like it was just yesterday. After the 21st century, China underwent earth-shaking changes. After joining the WTO, we became part of the global economic cycle and became the world's factory. China's production capacity became the world's most important stable supplier. From this point, I think this generation of young people, the era they live in has become an era of consumer sovereignty. So there are actually two eras of freedom in China. I'd say that before the 21st century, China was in the era of production sovereignty. After the 21st century, China underwent a rapid transformation and entered an era of consumer sovereignty and consumer equality, where consumer rights are on the rise. So if I were an investor now, or someone hoping to become an investor, the best direction for investment would be, does it have to be consumption? I think there are only two core tracks for China's future: technology and consumption. Why? Because of the advancement of Chinese industries and the adjustment of the economic structure. If we want to promote high-quality development, it must involve innovation and technological content. That means phasing out outdated production capacity and eliminating industries that are backward and energy-intensive. We are constantly upgrading our industries and moving up the value chain. So in this context, technology naturally plays a very important role, especially our hard tech. Over the past 2 years, with the China-US trade war and the reshuffling and redistribution of the global economic landscape, everyone can clearly see this trend. So looking ahead at the investment tracks in China, if you believe in hard tech and you believe in new consumption, then what exactly is hard tech in your mind? What is truly new consumption? Consumption, as a core driver of growth, plays a very important role in the future of China's socioeconomic development and in improving people's lives. There really isn't a distinction between new consumption and old consumption as the media describes. Because in the end, consumption is all about delivering good products and services to the people. However, there is a difference between innovative consumption and traditional consumption. The reason there is a distinction between innovation and tradition is essentially because entrepreneurs and business leaders in innovative consumption are better at capturing changes in the market. They have a deeper understanding of today's consumer behavior, consumption structure, and the evolution of the market. They have stronger insights into how changes in infrastructure drive industry transformation, and into the needs of new consumer groups and generations. Compared to traditional consumer goods owners, they are better at adapting to change. As Berlusconi once said, we often make too many changes, and it's actually the things that don't change that we overlook. Pursuing what remains unchanged is what a true entrepreneur should do. So how do we find what is unchanging in consumption? By sticking to a people-centered approach, always putting people first. I've said before that only by building a deep understanding of human nature into our product insights can we create a business system that truly cares about human values.
Returning to people and respecting individuals' lifelong value is one way to express Song Xiangqian's investment philosophy. It's also one of the key criteria that Jiahua Capital uses when evaluating the market.